You probably brought young children to the United States of America, just as I did, or you probably intend to do so. But how do you help them to navigate what seems like multiple worlds at once? How can you help them integrate into the new culture while preserving their native one? Although many children have positive experiences and adjust well to life in the US, some newcomers encounter difficulties including bullying, sexism, and the jokes about their accents, pronunciation of words, intonation, and country of origin. Sometimes they may also find themselves working harder than their American-born classmates. So how can you raise young, healthy, strong, well-adjusted preteens who grow up to be stable, self-assured, confident, successful adults after relocating to the US? Stay tuned as we explore this further. Welcome back. This is Angie Marie and this is my YouTube channel, Simple Secrets to a Happy Life. I'm so grateful for you, my faithful, loyal subscribers. Thank you so much for subscribing to this channel. And if you have not yet done so, please go ahead and hit that subscribe button. And remember to like this video. I appreciate your support so that I can continue to produce and provide content on this channel. Today we're going to talk about 5 very important principles that we need when we relocate to the United States from abroad, the interest of our children that we take along with us. Number 1, pay attention to your child's wants, not just their basic needs. As an immigrant parent, you know that your children have fundamental needs such as food, shelter, clothing, healthcare, and education. But what they want from you goes beyond that. Please understand me. These fundamental needs are crucial. I know that. And we shouldn't disregard them. But what I'm saying is that our kids want more than just these things. Your child also wants love, attention, affection, care, discipline, a healthy routine or structure, enough sleep, spiritual guidance, social interaction, and enough playtime. So we should be careful not to allow the pursuit of the American dream to become more of a nightmare for our little ones. Yes, it is sometimes very hard, especially if you are a single parent. But remember, it is just for a season. Eventually they grow up and life becomes more manageable. But this is still best for us to consider if we're going to build a solid foundation. Number 2, be your child's advocate. Be very sensitive to understand the difficulties they could be facing after moving to a new, unfamiliar setting and help them through the adjustment and settling periods. Ask them about their day at school, their friends, their engagement, and general well-being. Children from various locations are often made fun of because of their ethnicities. Common examples include being told that they're from a place where people live in trees, or being asked if they traveled from the Caribbean in banana boats, being told that their nation of origin has no airports. This is very common. The truth is that kids react differently to being teased. To the shock and disgust of her critics, when my daughter heard these things when we relocated to the US, she giggled hysterically. She kept laughing, and she responded to one of the boys with these words. She said, "Now we know who has never traveled anywhere in their entire life." She enjoyed pointing out their stupidity and ignorance with statements like, "Clearly you have never left the shores of America." Meanwhile, others like us have traveled the entire world, taking airplanes all over, while little guys like these only look at the planes flying above their heads. You're saying we don't have airports? Boy, what's wrong with you? Have you ever been outside of America? Maybe you should visit my country and you'd see if we have airports or not. It is not all kids respond in this manner when teased or bullied. Verbal assault at school leaves some people terrified, scared, hurt, and embarrassed. So as a parent, please inquire and help your child handle situations such as these. For the benefit of your child, it may be occasionally necessary to make one or more trips to the school and have discussions with instructors and the administration. Not only did my girls ignore the bullies, but they remained focused on academic excellence. They outshone their colleagues through awards, honor roll, high grades, participation in class and other activities, attending clubs like the science club, language club, dance, and athletics. They made dean's lists and nominations to various societies and programs. This was due mainly to the foundation they received back home. The bullying quickly stopped because they were top academic performers. They quickly gained the respect of their peers. So I always believe that doing well academically will quiet some of this bullying, but we need to deal with bullying in the way that best suits our own families. Please advocate for your child and be willing to help them attain their highest potential and not be intimidated or suppressed by losers who make it a habit to oppress them. Number 3, be a protector and literally security guard for your kids. It seems that these days early peer pressure on our children is even more rampant and causing them to develop unhealthy behaviors. There's identity crises, strange ideologies for them to fit in, pornographic content, narcotics, profanity, sexual impurity, nicotine, and other substances that were once taboo are now being introduced for children earlier than ever before, at a very early age. This isn't very comforting, and as such, as parents, we have to monitor and stay on top of things so that we do not lose them. We have to monitor their behavior online. It's crazy out there. We must protect our children also from emotional abuse, psychological abuse, and other forms of maltreatment, regardless of who is inflicting these kinds of pain, even if it is a family member or family members. These kinds of toxic relationships and negative associations hurt our kids and could inhibit their development in many ways. The truth is, people who are hurt and hurting often inflict pain on others, and usually it is done to those they consider to be vulnerable or less than themselves in some way. And if they have access to your children, they could create harm and destroy the self-esteem that you work so hard to build in your kids. Our kids need and want emotional security, positive family relationships, inspiration, motivation, and positive discipline. Otherwise, you could find yourself dealing with children's behavior problems soon after. So please be a protector and a security guard for your kids. Number 4, be their coach. Your children really need you to be their first life coach that would teach them things about life, about how to serve, how to give, how to pray. They look to you as a parent to be their role model, their teacher, disciplinarian, instructor, spiritual guide. And we also need to play with them and show them how to have fun. In the current age where children love to do TikTok dances, it's okay for us to join in as parents and dance with them, eat with them, make sure they're eating properly. They need and really want us to be that for them. So be their coach, their first life coach. Number 5, you must take good care of yourself. Emotionally, mentally, physically, socially, spiritually, financially. You need to be in good order in order to be able to give properly to your children. I learned this lesson shortly after moving to US with my daughters. The truth is, we cannot give what we don't have. A burnt out parent will create burnt out kids. Raising positive, intelligent, well-adjusted children who listen to you and who have high self-esteem in a new culture is no piece of cake. So when I relocated to the US and started my first job there about 2 weeks later, because of financial struggles, financial challenges, I ended up doing 3 jobs simultaneously just to be able to pay bills, to send the kids to private school and so forth. But I ensured they had their basic needs met. These were all their needs. However, the cost for me of getting ahead, especially financially, was huge. So I realized that I was doing much better financially, spiritually, emotionally, socially, and otherwise in Jamaica before I moved to the US. Not take it anymore. Came up with a recovery plan. It's exactly 2 years later. I went back home to Jamaica and did an excellent job. And during that time, I left my girls with my mom, their grandmother. And I was able to support them financially from Jamaica, plus take care of myself. So that just shows how much I was doing better back home. But after 6 months being separated from these girls, I was blessed and fortunate to secure a waitlist position in New York. So back to the US and moved from Connecticut to New York. And from there, I was doing much better. So sometimes we must adjust to the new culture first, make sure we take care of ourselves, do what we need to do to be good, to be well, to be fine, so that we can support our children in the way they need. Some things I want to say, I want to share some vital background information about the US culture, which many people will find different from their own culture. It's certainly different from the Caribbean culture. So what are some of the main characteristics of North American culture? Well, particularly in the US. The US, its values are steeped in individualism, materialism, freedom and democracy, rights, assertiveness, and capitalism. So as a result of all of that, time is valued highly in creating revenues, profits, and returns to businesses. And that often seeps into the family structure. So even the parenting styles are varied but different in the US from what many Caribbean families are used to in terms of their parenting style. So the parenting styles in the US are varied but primarily steeped also in the American values of freedom, rights, and assertiveness. But on the other hand, though, a culture such as the Jamaican culture is rooted in West African tradition. The country has an easygoing approach with music, dance, sports, use of dialect, art, physical education, and homes that appear to be focused more on responsibilities rather than so much rights when it comes to children. So that's one big difference between the US approach and how we do things in the Caribbean. In Jamaica, for instance, you would hear it said that children, you must respect your seniors and authority figures, such as your teachers. You refer to them as Mr. and Mrs. And for persons who are older than you, who do not necessarily have to be your family member, you say auntie and uncle. You say please and thank you. You use titles when responding to those older than yourself. We eat at home. Practice good work ethics from home by doing chores such as washing dishes, laundry, cleaning. When you have children, boys and girls, they help with work in the home, keeping the house on weekends especially. Skipping school is not an option. And fairy tales is no joke. So there are established parent-child boundaries. And of course, we also believe in prayer. We believe children must serve God. You need to go to church. Prayer and faith are critical. A school system that leaves out prayer and religious education feels very strange to most Caribbean people. Jamaican parents, particularly mothers, emphasize maintaining high academic standards and work ethic. But let me just share some things with you real quick. Some of the parenting styles that you may find in American household, but you're not likely to find in, say, in Jamaica or the Caribbean. Since in the US, they talk about democratic parenting, and if you want to know what's that, it's a situation where parents feel that in making children feel secure and joyful, they should raise them democratically. So they regard the children as equal, they encourage independence and involve the children in parenting decisions. We do not do that in the Caribbean. Another type of parenting style in the US, permissive parenting, where children are allowed to do as they please, they're never told no, and there's no such thing as age-appropriate boundaries. For example, a child may stay up late if they wish and eat as many candies as they like. Children do not understand limits or acceptable behavior in terms of how a Caribbean person may view acceptable behavior. They may become aggressive if they do not get what they want as adults, and often they have mental breakdowns and get in trouble with the law. Then a third parenting style you'll find in the US is uninvolved parenting, where parents literally, technically mind their own business. Well, in the Caribbean, we believe our children is a big part of our business, but they're not strict, authoritative, and definitely not authoritarian. Then we have indulgent parenting. The children must be showered constantly with affection and what is seen as love. There's no need to be strict or implement discipline. These children often become spoiled and inconsiderate of others' feelings. However, let me go quickly to Jamaican home. You'll find the other three types of parenting styles. Firstly, There's the authoritarian style, and that style is very strict and rigid parenting with high expectations, discipline and obedience above nurturing. Secondly, authoritative. Authoritative is also practiced in the US, I should say in some households. Authoritative is a more moderate type of parental authority and is allowed to make choices with some parental guidance. And then we have obedience parenting, where the child has to obey and not question their parent. The Caribbean families are more familiar with these types of parenting styles, namely obedience parenting, authoritative parenting, and authoritarian parenting. The other four I mentioned earlier, indulgent, uninvolved, permissive, and democratic, you'll find more in North American culture. Now, it's really up to you as a parent to decide what parenting style works for you and your family. But it might be very challenging when your child assimilates the new culture as they grow and begins to change and begin to challenge your authority and parenting style during their adolescent and early adult life. I believe you can be a strong advocate of your child regardless of the parenting style you adopt. Again, our children will grow to become what we teach them. Children live what they learn. And so I believe if we teach them discipline, teach them honor, teach them respect for authority, they will become those types of adults. I know when you move to the United States, for instance, coming from Africa or the Caribbean, it becomes challenging. Eventually the children may challenge you and tell you that, well, they have rights and you don't have any right to be talking to them. They could speak to you anyhow. So it creates some amount of conflict, because as a parent, you're used to something different where you're coming from and you have certain expectations from your children. I believe that communication is a big thing that would help when there are certain conflicts like that. Also, talking it through with the children so they understand where we're coming from. For instance, that's what I did in the beginning when I told my daughters that, hey, I know we now live in America, but we have a Jamaican culture, and part of our culture is that you do not go dating at age 12, 13, 14. So your books come first. Hopefully this has been useful to you as you listen. A lot has changed in American society recently, and especially since the pandemic. For example, young adults would move out of their homes, their parents' homes, by about age 18 and so forth, which is not the usual practice with a typical Caribbean home. Since COVID, what we're finding is that almost 60% of adults, according to surveys 2022 data, US Census Bureau, young adults who are characterized as those between 18 to 24 years, 60% of them are currently living in their homes with their parents again. So the pandemic and challenges with unemployment, with incomes and inflation and just life being difficult with the recessionary patterns, younger people now feel that, well, they have to do what they have to do, and it's not so bad after all to live in the home with parents a little longer. Thank you so much for staying with me to the end of this video. Clearly you found some value in it. Again, I would ask, if you have not yet subscribed, to go ahead and hit that subscribe button and the notification bell so that you'll be the first to know each time I post new content. This is Angie Marie, your Transitions GPS. Please enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you in the next video.